All right, I've got a lot of information for you tonight, and I've been looking into this ever since I discovered that the city of Mexico Beach is in a municipal crisis. I mean, they've got a brand new mayor who was elected in April, Michelle Miller, who upset incumbent Al Cathy. Now, Mexico Beach has received somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million in FEMA money since Hurricane Michael. And ever since the new mayor has been there, this will be her fourth meeting tomorrow morning. The good old boys are freaking out. I mean, freaking out. So why is that? And what's going on here? You're going to see a lot of amazing things tonight. The city's last two audits were in 2020 and 2021. Every year, the cities have an audit. And usually with Mexico Beach, their big problem is internal controls. All right. Things like who has access to the financials? Are the roles divvied up? I mean, is the same person who's writing the check the one who's reconciling the books, the one who's dealing with the auditors? Is the same guy who signs the check the same one who's dealing with the auditors? Well, you're going to find out. In Mexico Beach, it's all the same person. And the audit for this year has been delayed. The one guy with the key to the bank in Mexico Beach, the one guy with full access, has delayed the audit. And three of the councilmen are happy about it. Three of the councilmen only want the one guy with all access to everything, sole access. Just as long as you give us the reports, we're happy. What? I'm going to show you video of the council meeting the last council meeting, which was like 3 weeks ago. And I'm going to show you how they are trying to blockade the new mayor from seeing the financial records and all of the contracts. So the city has postponed the current audit. The guy holding the key to the bank of the city is Doug Baber. He's the city administrator. And three councilmen say that they're happy about that. They just want him to be the only guy. Look, Doug, as long as we ask you for the reports, you give us the reports, and we're good with that. We're getting the reports. You're dealing with the auditor, right, Doug? So even though the mayor is the CFO of the city of Mexico Beach, according to its charter, there are these three amigos on the council: Jerry Smith, Adrian Welly, and Richard Wolf. Those are the three guys who are saying, in order for the mayor to exercise and perform her role as CFO, we got to vote that you can do it. You want access to the files? That's crazy talk. Watch. So at the last meeting, Michelle Miller, the new mayor, said the city being late for its audit, having only one person in there. The last couple audits have said we've got internal control problems. We got an issue here. Here's what she said.
But there has to be some oversight, especially our financials. We're in a crisis financially. Whether y'all know it or not, we are currently in a financial crisis with our internal controls and with losing Debbie.
And Debbie's the accountant, and she resigned suddenly, like 3 weeks ago. So now Councilman Jerry Smith, he is the one who sits just to her right, and he is especially concerned about the security of of the records and the financials and the contracts. He's especially concerned about it. But his concern's a little different. His concern is that she might get in there to see stuff, and that could have terrible liabilities, he says. But watch what Doug Baber says. This is the city administrator I'm going to tell you more about after I set this story up. So at this would have been about 5 weeks ago, on her second meeting, I believe, Mayor Miller says, look, I'm the CFO. I need to have access, read only, to the financial documents. I cannot just rely on what you tell me, city manager. I'm sorry, it's not a city manager. City administrator, Doug Baber. And then you're going to see the city manager, Doug Baber, the only guy with the key to everything. He's going to deny her access with support of 3 councilmen for these reasons.
The IT rule of thumb generally is to provide users with the lowest access necessary so that they don't have too much access to the system. So that's what we practice with our internal controls. We also have things that would limit the possibility of misinterpreting information. Should you run a report or accidentally alter a report, even if view only, you could download a report and then change it. I do feel that there's concerns that if you download documents from our software system onto your personal computer, that personal computer becomes a public record, opens up your personal computer to public record searches. I do think that there's a possibility for password sharing. The opportunity behind I cannot manage up for a council member. You guys are my bosses. I report to you. Should you do one of those things even by accident, if I have a staff member that does that, there's repercussions for that. Should they cause some kind of issue, we can deal with that internally, but I can't manage up. So I just want to make sure those points were addressed when you guys make your decision. Ultimately, I'll do whatever you want. It's a transparent public record. You can ask me for a document. I don't think we've ever turned you down for any reports that you might actually have to have. So we're open the presentation for the 6-month review.
Does he look nervous or what? Now, there are 3 councilmen, and you're going to hear them right now. Jerry Smith, Richard Wolf, and Adrian Welly, who are going to conspire with the city attorney, Clint McCahill, to say that the CFO of the city, the mayor, she can only have full access to the city's financials, public records, if they vote her that permission. They're going to say that to her. And I'm going to show it to you right after this.
Is your past ruining your future? Having your record sealed or expunged wipes the slate clean, providing you with a new opportunity in life. I'm Al Saulene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 215-0628.
It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan could make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at pcairrepair.com. So there's a standoff in Mexico Beach. The next city council meeting is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You've got a brand new mayor who upset Al Cathy, who is the CFO and, by the way, turns out, according to charter, the CEO of the city. But the old 3 amigos here, they don't want her looking at the finances. And they're doing all they can to blockade her, up to and including saying that they have to vote her permission to look. And because it's a big liability. Listen to Jerry Smith.
Access to the file. I don't like that. I think whatever you want, I believe you ought to. And then I got all the literature like you got that says our administrator, you can ask him for what you want.
And I did.
And he can give you what you want, not access to the files or whatever you're looking for in the computer system. He'll get it for you and cross out everything that shouldn't be put out there to the public.
Again.
Ma'am, I'm not speaking, please. I checked in on it. Please. Thank you. And it's a very much a liability, bad liability. And I give you some, for instance, too, that it could leak out and get a contract with another contractor, get out that information, and then the city will be liable. And now, the way we got it now is Doug will be liable for that. and not the city council meeting. I do not think
So Jerry Smith, Councilman Jerry Smith says, look, Doug Baber, the one I'm going to tell you about, who's been the city administrator since 2021, they brought him in after Mario Gisbert left, after he was there 2 years. So they bring in Doug Baber, and he's the only one, says Councilman Jerry Smith, the only one who should have full access. Because if you should have access as the CFO, the city is going to be liable. For what? But the way it is now, we're not liable. Only Doug is liable because he's the only one with all access, sole, complete access to the city's financials. Raise your hand if you think that those are good internal controls. If you think an organization should have the same person who writes the checks, deal with the auditors, and reconcile the books. Is that a good idea? Jerry Smith says it's a bad liability. If you go poking your nose in there, you can't be doing that. Here, he has a little bit more to say as well. He wants to know, look, do you really plan to just go in there and look at the city's finances? What are we up against here, guys? What are we up against here now that we got this lady mayor who's curious about the finances after we got $100 million in FEMA money? Okay, take a look.
Well, I'd like to know, what do you expect from the council? What do you want us to do? What is your plan or agenda? That way we'll know what we're up against. Now we don't know. I mean, the city's in a turmoil with our employees and at the office up there.
Oof, they're nervous in Mexico Beach. City council meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. What are we up against here? What's your agenda? All right. You can't go in there unless we vote you in there, and we're happy with just Doug in there. Is this amazing or is this amazing? Now, after about 3 weeks ago, the accountant got nervous and just up and quit. Now, I don't know the real story. I know a little bit of the real story, but there's a few stories about this. But let me say this. The accountant, everybody liked. She worked for a company that is hired by the city. And the real story is not quite out yet what happened. But she's not there anymore. She quit. All right. Nothing she did wrong. But now they're in a situation where they don't have an accountant either. And Doug Baber, the city administrator, only guy with the key to the bank, he has postponed the audit. All right. So the mayor calls up the company that hires the accountant for him, says, what happened to Debbie? Well, the council jumped her rear end and said, lady, because of your phone call, we're never going to get her back. I mean, it was unbelievable, this crazy skit that they put on at the last meeting. But when Mayor Miller, who's brand new and just getting her sea legs, when she said, look, I may need to call up the accounting company and find out what's really going on here. Woo, city administrator Doug Baber said, no. You please just, God, for the love of everything, just go through me. Watch. Tell me if Doug Baber looks a little nervous.
Yeah, so that's the best I can tell you. Ever since this happened on Friday, I've been struggling to get forward path process on this, and we have that. So I just urge you guys to act through me if you don't mind. I mean, I'll be glad. I deal with each one of these contractors on a daily basis.
And again, this was.
This is detrimental to the city of Mexico Beach.
This could have been avoided.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely could have
From the
been.
very beginning.
If nobody told them that there was a conflict of interest with our accountant.
And nobody said anything about it.
This is a detriment to the city. Having you looking at the finances, for God's sake, calling the company the city uses for an accountant, just please go through me. It's detrimental to the city if you don't go through me. And 3 of the council members say, absolutely go through Doug. Don't perform your duty as the CFO. Go through Doug. He gives us, if we need a report, Doug gives it to us. And he's liable, not us. See, these would raise red flags. $100 million of FEMA money since Hurricane Michael. And this is going on. I don't know. If I was an FBI agent, I would sniff around again. Oh, yeah, they already know a lot about it. But come on, guys. We're not allowed to, Bernie. Okay. This is unbelievable. So, where we're at here is 3 members of the council want to block the mayor, who's acting as who is the CFO according to the charter, from having full access to the financials. Only Doug Baber, the city administrator, should have it, they say. Now, who's Doug Baber? We know he got hired in 2021 after Mario Gisbert. And from 2007, this is not the first city he's worked for. The first city he worked for was in 2007 when his father-in-law hired him. His father-in-law was the city manager for Hallandale Beach, according to now all the next bit of information I'm going to give you comes from the BrowardBulldog.org. BrowardBulldog.org. It did a lot of reporting on a lot of controversy at this city, Hallandale Beach in South Florida. And Doug Baber's father-in-law was the city manager for 10 years. He got fired after, in 2013, his father-in-law as city manager got fired in 2013. Look, a couple $1 million of CRA money was grossly mismanaged, according to the inspector, what is it called? The Inspector General's office. Okay, they did a big investigation, and he ended up getting fired over it, his father-in-law. But his father-in-law, before he got in trouble in 2013, hired Doug Baber in 2007. And Doug worked there for 5 years. And while he was there, he got some loans from the city to pursue a master's degree, and he earned a master's degree. Doug Baber, the current city administrator in Mexico Beach. And in 2011, he left. He quit, and he got like a $20,000 in a pension payout when he left after 5 years. It's a good work if you can get it. But when he left, he owed the city money, according to the news reports, for tuition reimbursements for the master's degree, right? And he said, look, when I get my $20,000 pension payout, I'll pay it back. But he didn't. And the city of Hallandale Beach had to sue him, Doug Baber. But Doug Baber had that planned out, because about a week before the city of Hallandale Beach sued him for the tuition reimbursement money, Doug Baber filed bankruptcy. Why am I telling? Why don't I just show you? Let's take a look at the report. So here is the BrowardBulldog.org. Okay. Hallandale sues Doug Baber for unpaid debt, but may be left holding the bag. Okay. Hallandale Beach is suing the son-in-law of the city manager, Mike Good. That's what I told you about, for failing to repay the city thousands of dollars. This is in 2013. Might be 2011. No, it's 2013. Douglas Grant Baber, 37, allegedly did not repay the money he owed the city, even though records show he nearly doubled his salary to $65,000 a year during his 5 years as a city employee, and walked away with a $20,000 gross pension payout when he quit nearly 2 years ago. See? He's Doug Baber's the son-in-law there. But Hallandale Beach may have waited too long. The city attorney's office sued Baber in Broward County Court. 1 week before, however, Baber filed a voluntary petition for bankruptcy in federal court, seeking a discharge of debts. So he filed bankruptcy. His lawyer estimated to be between $500,000 and $1 million of personal debt. Now, I filed bankruptcy when I was 29. It wasn't for that much money. Not even close. And I'm not the city administrator with the sole key to the bank for a city where the city council insists I should be the only one to hold the key. Something's weird here. Baber's immediate boss at Hallandale Beach, Human Resource Director George Amararian, was upset with his former colleague whom he once trusted. He reneged on us, he said. He was my own employee. He did it to me. That's unfortunate because we need the money back. Now, I don't tell you this to pile on Doug Baber. I don't know him. My point is the city of Mexico Beach is in a municipal crisis. They have postponed their audit for the year. They've got a new mayor who's the CFO of the city, according to charter. And 3 members of the council, Jerry Smith, Adrian Welly, who knows more than any of them, and Richard Wolf, all are blocking the current mayor from having full access to the city's financial records. Why? I don't know why. I just know they are. And I know that the only guy they want to have full access is Doug Baber. Let's continue. All right. I showed you that. Baber is 2013. He was a personnel analyst for Boca Raton. So he declined to comment. So that was Boca Raton was the second city that he worked for. This would have been in 2013. Hallandale Beach Human Resource Director Amararian was upset with his former colleague. He promised he would pay us back as soon as he got his pension money. But after Baber left the city and the city contacted him about the payback, his boss said Baber told city officials that he had used the pension payout for business. If I'm on the city council, I'm not comfortable saying the only guy who can have access to the city's financials after we got somewhere around $100 million of FEMA money is Doug. I'm just saying. I think the way this is going, the city's not getting anything. Boca Raton attorney Stephen Orchard, his attorney said, Baber's attorney. Baber's financial problems, his attorney said, stem from personal guarantees he put up during his financial involvement with Wowie's, a sports restaurant in Boca Raton. City manager Renee Miller said that she has no idea why the city did not pursue the outstanding debt 2 years ago. Well, his father-in-law was the city manager then, Renee. Now you are. When Baber resigned his $65,000 a year city job as personnel analyst, but she said the city has an obligation to seek reimbursement in court, even though it might never collect. The city manager who replaced his father-in-law said he entered into an agreement and has not paid his debt. Baber applied for tuition reimbursement 6 times when he was with the city from 2009 to 2010 for courses he took online toward a master's degree in business admin. And he got his degree, and he resigned from the city in 2011, less than 2 years after receiving the tuition reimbursements. All right. So the city decided to hire Doug Baber after all. Now, the one question is, did Doug Baber ever tell the city about this when he applied for a job in Mexico Beach? Did he disclose this information? Did the city council ask him about this? I mean, when you apply for a big job where you're in charge of, I don't know, money, usually they ask you, have you ever been arrested? Stuff like that. Well, I wonder who voted for him. Well, actually, it was unanimous, and they were very excited about it. Here's, as a matter of fact, in 2021, the former mayor of Mexico Beach, Al Cathy, was excited to get Doug Baber. I do not know if they knew about his checkered past, but here's how excited Mayor Cathy was.
Doug seemed to be the right fit for our little city, and so we didn't want to pass up an opportunity to get who we thought. It was a unanimous decision.
Besides his several years of experience in municipal government, Cathy says they also looked for someone they felt would be able to engage the community.
But in Mexico Beach, just like our charming community, we want to have a charming government. We want people that work here to reflect who we are, and Doug fit the bill.
New city.
So let's get this straight. Just so you know, Mexico Beach's current city administrator, Doug Baber, was sued by a previous city that he worked for over money that he owed the city. And then he filed bankruptcy. His lawyer, according to the news report, said it could have been up to about as much as $1 million discharged. And he's the guy that Councilman Jerry Smith, Adrian Welly, and Richard Wolf want with sole and complete access to the city financial records and contracts. A city that received somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million of FEMA money since Hurricane Michael. And these three councilmen and the city attorney, Clint McCahill, are blockading the new mayor, Michelle Miller, who has been designated the CEO of the city by city charter and by the voters. And they are putting on a charade that she doesn't have access to do that because of the liability. You got to see the liability again. The liability one's the best. Here's what Jerry Smith said, why we can't let the lady go poking her nose around in the finances.
Access to the file. I don't like that. I think whatever you want, I believe you ought to. And then I got all the literature like you got that says our administrator, you can ask him for what you want.
And I did.
And he can give you what you want, not access to the file, but whatever you're looking for in the computer system, he'll get it for you and cross out everything that shouldn't be put out there to the public.
Again.
Ma'am, I'm not speak, please. I checked in on it. Please. Thank you. And it's a very much of a liability, bad liability. And I give you some, for instance, too, that it could leak out and get a contract with another contractor, get out that information, and then the city will be liable. And now, the way we got it now is Doug will be liable for that, and not the city council meeting. I do not think
Wow. So there is a municipal crisis in Mexico Beach, and I imagine it's going to come to a head. Will the commissioners act? Will they pretend that by a vote, a majority vote, that they can supersede the charter, that they can subvert the charter that says very clearly that the mayor is the chief elected fiscal and administrative official for the city? This is interesting. Why in the world are they so scared? And why are they so comfortable having one person, even if it was a saint? I'm not a saint. You're not a saint. Doug Baber's not a saint. But Doug Baber has a few checkered marks on his history that most reasonable people would say we shouldn't just have him alone with the key. That's all I'm trying to say. Right or wrong? Is that fair? It's fair. And you know it's fair. So why does Adrian Welly not think so? Why does Jerry Smith not think so? Why does Richard Wolf not think so? What is going on? Clint McCahill knows better. The city attorney knows better. City council meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. I don't know what's behind there, but somebody needs to find out. Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome. I also want to thank, of course, the Unknown Patriot for your support in helping me bring you the truth. I tell you, it was really interesting watching WMBB and WJHG's news stories talking about the incoming city administrator who's replacing Mario Gisbert. And they said the guy coming in has lots of experience with other cities and stuff like that. And I was thinking, why isn't the local news telling everybody, well, one of the cities he worked for sued him because he owed them money, and his job is to be in charge of money underneath the CFO. Seems like it would be an important part of the news story, right? But maybe they were just listening to Al Cathy, who was super excited to get him.
Doug seemed to be the right fit for our little city. And so we didn't want to pass up an opportunity to get who we thought. It was a unanimous decision.
Besides his several years of experience in municipal government, Cathy says they also looked for someone they felt would be able to engage the community.
But in Mexico Beach, just like our charming community, we want to have a charming government. We want people that work here to reflect who we are, and Doug fit the bill.
New city.
All right, that's not reporting. That's not news. That is PR for the regime. And WJHG, WMBB, and the News Herald are on the take. They are PR firms for local government and for giant developers. You know it and I know it, and that's a terrible, terrible development. All right, if you would like to support my efforts to bring you independent reporting, here's one way you can do it. You can become a patron right here, patreon.com. It's like a tip, as little as $5 a month. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It helps me keep the lights on. It helps me keep this thing going. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's easy, it's anonymous, and it's free. All right, lots more for tomorrow. I got another big one for you. Big one for you tomorrow. And I'll see you then.